Welcome into HogvilleNET YouTube. This is our special edition. We'll call it a special edition. We are post now. We just wrapped up interviews with John Calipari, Malik Ewan in the media room. Today was the Hoop Hogs tip-off scrimmage in Hot Springs, Banco ZK Arena, which I'm still sitting here. Originally described, once things kind of started here, going to be 3 20-minute scrimmage segments. End up being 2, which we got plenty. We got plenty to see here today. Very competitive. The red team won both of them, if you keep up with that kind of thing. Some of the players switched up after the first 20-minute segment. So we went from seeing it, for example, Trevor Brazil and Malik Ewan teamed up. We also saw DJ Wagner and Darius Acuff Jr. guarding each other for a while. So that was the first 20-minute segment. The second 20-minute segment, we got Acuff and DJ Wagner together. Some very interesting things there. Carter Knox switched teams. But, keeping score both, if you look at both 20-minute segments, it was close. Both teams were, again, going back and forth. But we're going to get into several things because this is the most significant on-court action we've seen in a competitive setting for this team to this point. Remember, just over a week ago at primetime at the Palace, 8 minutes of non-competitive basketball. This was really more of an introduction to the fans, kind of a night that night was. And then on Sunday, a week ago today, you had Arkansas's Pro Day, where there was more of a competitive spirit, but it was a lot of broken up. You had drill work in there, you had some testing, and then you had Calipari stop play quite a bit to instruct his team. Today you saw Calipari was sitting right next to me here courtside, and he was vocal. He did stop things 2 or 3 times, but for the most part, they let them play. We had obviously a scoreboard with a clock and a 30-second shot clock, so it felt like more of a basketball atmosphere for the first time with this second team now for John Calipari. This time last year, when you had this event, and a day later Arkansas played in Pine Bluff doing the same thing, it was a scrimmage. So this was an actual basketball event. So many takeaways for me. I think the player that stood out the most, and I thought several players showed well at both ends of the court, rebounding several areas where I thought multiple players really got my attention. But I think the one player who stood out the most and probably had the best game performance out here at both ends and both segments was Carter Knox. And he's projected as potentially Arkansas' centerpiece as a first-round draft value after testing the draft waters, coming back. Took him a little bit of time to acclimate as he joined the team late in the summer, and then he took another mini break, and then he came back and he got his sea legs under him. He finished stronger than anybody. When you talk about finishing up July the last couple of weeks, we talked so much about that when we graded the team and we graded the players just from limited summer practice. Since they've been back in the fall, all the reports they vary because I keep saying Arkansas has 8 players. They go 8 deep with 8 players who are starter value just about anywhere in the SEC, which it's the best basketball league in the country, so that's a big statement. Certainly 8 players deep that would be starter value for most teams around the country, most high major teams. But I'd even say that in terms of what the SEC looks like. Now, when you have that many really good players, it's no surprise that most of those guys really stood out today. But again, Carter Knox at the top of the heap, whether he was getting on the glass, jumping passing lanes to get deflections, he was locked in, finishing in transition above the rim with dunks. He did knock down a triple or 2, but was really aggressive slashing to the basket. I just thought at both ends and both stretches, both 20-minute segments, he probably stood out a little bit more than the rest. And I thought Nick Pringle was really, really good getting on the offensive glass and dunking the ball back off missed shots, or just sticking with the ball. If he didn't finish around the basket, he hung around and got a loose ball and kicked it out to a teammate, ran the floor well, defended well. Trevor Brazil continues to impress me with just all the little things that he's added to his game, because a lot of it's effort related. And I think when you see the effort that he plugs in at both ends, you see more from him in his game that maybe we really acknowledged or recognized consistently, in the past. So those last 9 games last year, he's just built upon that. Malik Ewan, they were maybe 10 minutes into the scrimmage, And I turned to one of the media members beside me and I said, he might have a double-double by now. This dude is a rebounding machine. And the post-practice presser, we'll call it, he was asked what he brings to the team, and one of his answers was, I'm a double-double machine. He ain't lying, man. This dude, the ball, he's got a nose for it. He's got so much soft skill offensively as a passer, as a finisher. All three of the big men got to the rim and dunked. All three of, especially Brazil and Ewan, in terms of stretching the floor a little bit with the perimeter shot, three-point shooting, running the court, and then Pringle, just an animal on the glass around the rim, and plays just a really, really strong brand of team basketball. All three of those big men, I think this is a strength of Arkansas. It's going to go maybe underlooked initially when you enter the college basketball season from a national standpoint. I like all of the players on Arkansas's front line. I think Ewan's still a work in progress defensively, but Brazil, there were maybe a handful of plays where I was not questioning his effort, but just positioning and then movement toward the ball. But it wasn't like in the past where you're really wondering if he's checked in. That's going to happen when you play 40 minutes of basketball. For the most part, he's locked in. Ewan, again, a work in progress defensively, but man, getting on the glass, scoring out of the two-man action, rolling to the basket hard off the cuts, or popping and making a good shot or pass. And I thought the guards in that two-man action continue to impress me. Darius Acuff Jr., knocking down threes today. He was so impressive in his shot selection, catch and shoot opportunities, mostly when he was shooting threes. So not creating off the bounce, but that's kind of a good thing, I think, because that other part will come over time. I think just the ability to knock him down when he's open and getting that pass, whether transition or in the half court. But Darius Acuff, some of his passes on those short and hard rolls to the big men were just almost perfection. Thought he did a really good job offensively. Had a nice couple of plays defensively, too, for Acuff. I've been questioning his defense. Malik Thomas is a bucket. The dude struggled a little bit early shooting from three, but he did hit a couple from opposite corners. So the corner three was going for him. And then later in that second 20-minute scrimmage, he didn't miss much. Mid-range, got a nice steal, got out in transition and dunked it. Had a nice offset on the left corner for another corner three. So Malik, and then he had another play where he drove right in front of me to the right side, just above, I think he was still above the break, and he popped a three over here on this end of the court. So Malik Thomas has probably led everybody in scoring today, but I could just go down the list of who was impressive. DJ Wagner getting to the basket, just physical and using that strength and his awareness offensively and what the strengths of his game are, getting downhill, getting to the basket. There was a really nice play once he and Acuff were teamed up together where Acuff pitched the ball out to him in a half-court set. I don't think it was transition. I think it was in half-court. Acuff found DJ at the top of the circle or just to the right of it on that end, and he knocks down a three. So you're really wanting to see how do those guys complement each other? Can they knock down the three to be on the court together? Because, I have question marks about, sort of that continuity, sort of that complementary aspect of those two, the chemistry, because they're going to be on the court a lot together. And then I see what Malik Thomas did today, and I've increased my opinion of his ability to get his minutes. I mean, at minimum, the way he played today, I would say 20 minutes a game, but I think even maybe more than that. Isaiah Seeley did some good things offensively. I think there were times he maybe tried to force a bit too much. Calipari spoke to him about that in scrimmage, and then maybe brought it up in postgame when I asked him about I think I asked him a totally separate question about Carter Knox and how effective he was, and then he ran through all the players and even said kind of at the back end of that Isaiah Seeley really has a chance. I think the one guy who probably didn't have his A game today was Billy Richmond III. Now, he did some good things out here, but he was off a little bit. He had an alley-oop pass that he wasn't able to finish, but I thought, when he and Carter Knox were battling, I thought Carter got the best of that pretty much throughout. Again, Billy does things that you can't coach, that energy, and I don't have any concerns at all maybe for an off day for Billy Richmond III. Everybody else, including Seeley, again, Seeley maybe had some, some stretches there that Calipari can, they can talk about and help him learn from, but he did a lot of really good things as well. But aside from that, just about everybody, the other seven were really good for extended periods of time on the court today. Arkansas's three-point shooting, again, when I look at what Acuff did, I've seen enough with the bigs, with Ewan, TB, Carter is going to be okay there. I think DJ has improved. Calipari said it. We saw it in practice back in July. We got to see it again today. I noticed it in Pro Day, and we talked about how many guys have improved. Carter Knox. Billy Richmond, maybe an off day, but he certainly has because he's stronger. We saw it in practice. His shot looked better again. Not a lot of shots for him today, but this is one, setting. I don't think it's informative of just the strides he's made because I know he's made them, but DJ's better. TB's better. Everybody has gotten better. You talk about the retention. They didn't just come back. Guys were getting better at the end of last year, and they have built on that, and that's why that foundation of that retention is so important. You see it in these settings. I've already gotten quite a bit of highlights out already. I couldn't run anything live. That's prohibited for media, but I did take as much video as I could courtside while taking notes and, trying to pay attention to what Calipari was saying sitting next to me. But I've got a lot more highlights to get out a bit later. I wanted to get this segment done. I wanted to go live and decided to do recording because I don't know how much more time they're going to be patient with the media in here before they kick us out. But again, this was a great opportunity to see this team. Arkansas worked on some of its full court press defense or picking up, if not full court, 3/4 court. And I thought it was problematic for the defense. I thought the offensive players really attacked pretty well in that situation. And Calipari said in the press conference, that he made note of that as well. Something I noticed while it was happening. He said after today, at some point soon, they're going to be working on zone defense. So they're going to really put some time in on that. What can I say? I mean, again, I think Arkansas's three-point shooting has improved. I think the rebounding is going to be consistently better than it was last year, especially on the offensive glass with guys like Pringle, Ewan, Carter Knox, Trevor Brazile. All four of those guys really get on the glass. And then Malik Thomas is a strong rebounder at 6'5" at the guard spot. Isaiah Seeley, when he's out there, is hitting the glass. And if it's on the defensive glass, he's turning and pushing up court. Reminds me, he's got that Scottie Pippen old school mentality as a transition creator off that defensive rebound. One pivot, and he's off to the races. Acuff is a nightmare once he gets downhill. He challenges big bodies, the bigs. He went right at them. And he gets his body. He uses a little physicality to bump and create enough space to get his little shot off around the basket and off the glass. And, man, we knew DJ Wagner was good at that last year. I think Acuff, there's a little more burst and a little more quickness in that downhill game. Man, he takes on everybody, and if he gets out in transition, even if there's one or two defenders ahead of him, he goes right at him and he gets into them. And he gets to a finishing angle. And then the three-point shooting again from Acuff. His work as a facilitator today at times was really extraordinary. And then he did a few things defensively that gives me hope about that end of the court for him, because that's been my biggest question mark. I think Darius Acuff, what I saw today, lends me to believe this is a guy coming into the season that has all SEC kind of value. I can't rule that out for several Hogs. Trevor Brazile, Malik Ewan, Nick Pringle, as crazy as that sounds. No, the all SEC teams are not going to feature 5 or 6 Razorbacks in all likelihood. I'm saying there's several guys, maybe, and I've said their top 8 has some kind of starter value. When you look around the league and look around the country, you can make a case for all 8 players having some spot, being able to carve out some kind of a season. And if Arkansas does well, where any of them could be like Billy Richmond III, maybe all SEC defensive team, as an example. So several players in there that you could not rule out for having that kind of season. Carter Knox probably be preseason all SEC in some regard. He may not be the only one. I think Darius Acuff Jr. is going to get some. If they do a preseason all SEC freshman team, Malik Thomas may get some mention for that. Trevor Brazile, the way he finished the season. I mean, you've just got so many possibilities here on this team. And where I said that I felt like three-point shooting so much would be a big question mark for me and a potential weakness again, I'm feeling better and better and better about that the more that I've seen lately. Even though a lot of it was drill work at primetime at the Palace or a three-point shooting contest, you saw more of it in the Pro Day where it was a little more competitive. And then today, Acuff and Malik Thomas, and even Sealy, Jaden Caruella, who's not going to probably be in the rotation this year. He was knocking down a steady bit of it. Of course, if he doesn't factor into the rotation, you can't count on that when games are real. But just the bigs, too. I go back to Brazil and Ewan, man. They are impressive. The touch they have on that shot, the confidence to take it, and the willingness to take those shots. Ewan said it's something he's worked on. I think that's going to be a significant part of what he brings to the table this year. At least it seems that way. Again, I go back to that two-man action, DHOs, pick and rolls, whether it's a shallow roll, hard deep roll, or some kind of offset or rotation off a screen with the bigs. They all pass. They're good passers as well, especially Ewan. TB, a willing passer. Pringle, make the right play. And then they finish so well when they get around the basket. It's just going to be hard to defend this team because the guards put a lot of pressure on you. If you're picking and choosing on that two-man action, the guards can beat you. They can get downhill. And again, with Acuff knocking down perimeter shots, Malik Thomas doing that, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense to pick and choose. How are you gonna account for that perimeter game and that assignment integrity if you happen to cheat and gap because of the strong slash drive game that Arkansas has and those big men rolling and know how to finish? Don't forget, this trio of frontline players for Arkansas are veteran guys. They've been around, so there's not a lot of learning here. We did see Paulo Samido, by the way, who wasn't practicing for a while, didn't go through any of the scrimmage work at primetime at the Palace, regardless of the fact that wasn't competitive. It was 8 minutes worth. He and Zavich didn't participate in that. They did some of the drill work during Pro Day, but neither one of the 7-footers that are new took part in any of the scrimmaging. Today, they were out here. Some. They played off the bench. Zavich got in trouble because he pump faked TB and TB landed hard, falling down on top of him. Calipari got angry and didn't let Zavich shoot his free throws. He had to go sit the bench. Billy Richmond came off the bench and had to shoot those free throws for Zavich. But Zavich, and I didn't get this recorded, I wish I did, he had a nice interior move and finished over Samido, who was guarding him. On the other end, Samido got an offensive rebound over Zavich and went up and dunked it. And that was during scrimmage play. I might have gotten that one recorded, just haven't tweeted yet. But I've got a lot of highlights out. By the way, I want to, as we get close to 20 minutes, I want to thank all the people who approached me today. It was a lot from the time I got here, telling me thank you for the work that I do, telling me they just wanted to meet me. Had one man drive up from Texarkana saying he came up here specifically to meet me and John Calipari, which I thought was, that was a nice compliment. And then the Hog players acknowledging me when they were walking up. I didn't expect that. I was just recording them coming in. That was pretty cool. Now, I know most of them and have covered them since they were in high school, but this was the kind of thing where I think they get the assignment. This is an opportunity where it's not full business yet. You've got fans in the building. They did a meet and greet, Calipari signing autographs, the players taking photos with fans. They interacted with the fans after it was over. So even acknowledging the media in some examples is just part of, that outreach that you want to have at this part of the exhibition season, because now it is going to be more business-like. Yeah, you've got 2 more exhibition games, home against Cincinnati, on the road against Memphis. That'll be in a 3 or 4 day span here at the end of August, in a couple of weeks. Not the next weekend, but the following weekend, of Friday to Monday, where you're obviously going to have everybody together, not competing against each other. And we'll see how the true rotations, how those come together, what we see on the court. And it's one Hog team at that point where you have all your superpowers on one bench. And now the other teams are having to deal with that. So it's going to be very interesting to see. So it's going to be more about business at that point. So events like today are great for fans, but man, to see the competitiveness on display. I mean, they were getting after it. There was, we talked about, I said the offensive rebounding, the rebounding in general, but these big bodies, these athletic bodies, this length, you saw it over and over again with the above the rim plays, off lob passes, off the 2-man game. You really see the bully ball aspects of guys like Carter Knox, Billy Richmond, Darius Acuff at 6'2", 6'3", just taking on bodies. DJ Wagner does that at 6'3", 6'4", He's driving fearless into the basket. So Arkansas is going to be one of the best teams in the country, I think, in transition, getting downhill in half court, slashing to the basket, playing above the rim. But I think the physicality in general, not just as an offensive bully ball scenario, guy like Trevor Brazile really seeking contact now, and okay, he's good to play through it. He's good to compete against it. I just think this is a team that is put together much better than last year's team when we talk about the physical part and playing with physicality at both ends and taking it on. Positionally, again, I look at Malik Thomas. He's not shy. He doesn't back down from contact. Isaiah Seeley, 6'7". He's put together well. All of these guys showed very little fear and very little hesitation, driving into the thick of the defense and where bodies are. And I think that's going to separate this year's team a little bit more than the other one. Last year, as good as it was at the end of the year, and I think this team has a chance to be better three-point shooting from three. I was concerned that it might not be any better, if as good. And the more I see, the more I think it's got a good chance to consistently be better. Does this team have enough firepower from three where you can predict every game that they're going to be solid there? No, that still might be a concern. I think consistently, though, overall, they're going to be just fine. 21 minutes in, they're starting to turn the lights out. Z is still here across the way. What? Z, they're kicking us out. Matt Zimmerman. It's starting to get dark in here. There's a few more media members down on the other end as well. This was a lot of fun today. It really was. I think these Hogs are every bit worthy of what I've been saying, a top 10 to 15 team nationally coming into the preseason, top 2 or 3 in the SEC. I still haven't done my first power rankings. Those are coming really soon. I've been talking about them for a while. I've been waiting and keeping an eye on a lot of teams and the health of their players before I do that. So that's about to drop soon. But I think Arkansas has the makeup on when I look at this team to be that good preseason, maybe better than that. ESPN just did its final preseason top 25. Arkansas came in 12th there. We've seen them consistently in Joe Lunardi's bracketology way too early. He does those once a month. That'll increase, but it's been Arkansas as a 4 seed. So that puts you in that 12 to 16 ranking range if you were equivocating that to poll rankings. But I think this team on paper, and now what I've seen, forget the paper, they've got the makeup of a team, if things go right and they stay healthy, and it comes together and the chemistry's right and players, they're playing for each other, as Calipari likes to say. For all the positives I see that have actually improved over last year, this team to me has the potential to get to the final weekend of the NCAA tournament. This could be a Final Four team. I really believe that. Now, we've mentioned that, but the more I see, the more I believe it. The more I believe it again, because you're going from what you think it, because we've seen these players before, but not all together and not enough together, and we're getting more of that. We need to see it against other teams. It's not that they're going to be perfect, but I could see a Final Four quality in this group, which is saying a lot. And it's John Calipari. He knows how to assemble a squad. He knows how to get the talent together. I think the mix of retention, what he got out of the portal and that experience on the front line, and then these very talented freshmen. I do see Arkansas again 1 through 8. No doubt that first 8, those guys are going to get their minutes. They're going to have their roles. They're going to impact what's going on game in and game out. I think Isaiah Seeley at 9 is right there. I think he's going to play some. I'm still not at a place where I can project a minutes allocation, a role game to game there yet. But I love his future at Arkansas, whether we see, regardless of how much we see this upcoming season. But I think he's going to help Arkansas somewhere. And I like the big bodies of Javits. He is physical, man. I mean, when he was on the court and guys were trying to drive into him, they were brave, but there was a couple of thuds after that, and bodies hitting the ground pretty hard. Samito's athleticism, his length, these guys are going to help Arkansas in the long term, but I love them as practice bodies for this team. It's going to help the trio of Trevor Brazile, Malik Ewan, and Nick Pringle. It just absolutely is. And anybody else that dares come in the paint, they bring different things that make you have to account for their size. So, I mean, even Carol Letway is a practice player because he can knock down threes, because he's been in the system for a year. These are all guys that help you out. Now, we didn't see Aiden Kelly or Amir Brown today on the court in competitive stuff. But, man, those guys are great teammates. I love this team, love this squad. I don't know what else to say? It sounds Homer, coming from Homersville. Man, I just love basketball, and I know a good thing when I see it, and this could be a great thing. It really could be. 25 minutes in, I'm signing off. Thank you for being here on HogvilleNET YouTube special edition. It was Hoop Hogs in Hot Springs, in the Spa City, Bank OZK Arena. It was a tip-off scrimmage, and now you start playing real exhibition games. Cincinnati at home in Bud Walton Arena, October 24th. 3 days later, Memphis on the road, October 27th. That's a Monday. Friday for Cincinnati. So weekend after next, when that stuff gets handled, and then you're into your regular season about a week later, and everything's real at that point. And you get to enjoy it. Until next time, again, thanks for being here. Appreciate everybody. We'll see you soon.